That's all coming up in the program tonight. But first, the self-righteous, sanctimonious, social justice warrior, late-night host Jimmy Kimmel is launching a new attack directed at yours truly. Poor little Jimmy, he can't stomach the fact that we dared to call him out for smearing the First Lady, Melania Trump, when he was mocking her accent as she was reading to little children. All right, so tonight, right here on this show, we are laying down the gauntlet. We're going to fight fire with fire. We will show you video proof of Kimmel's creepy, perverted, misogynistic, and even racist past. And that is tonight's breaking news opening monologue. Let me say this at the start of the show tonight. I am going after Jimmy Kimmel. Tonight, we're going to pound him with his own words. And I'm going to tell you something. This is not something I prefer to do on this show. I don't take joy in this. But I have just had it with the utter hypocrisy, the unrelenting attacks against not only a sitting president, but his wife and his daughter and his 11-year-old son, the First Lady of the United States. Really? This never ends. It needs to end. This is not about politics. This isn't Republican, Democrat, conservative, liberal. It's way bigger than Sean Hannity or Jimmy Kimmel. What we have is Jimmy Kimmel attacking an innocent woman in this case, Melania Trump, for reading a book to children. This has to end. So tonight we're throwing down the gauntlet on this show because I'm not going to sit here and look at smears against innocent people who are just trying to serve their country and teach children and make the world a better place. And to be clear, I'm not in the business of silencing Kimmel. I don't want Jimmy Kimmel boycotted. I don't like his show, but if you want to watch it, go watch it. And Jimmy, if you're half the man you pretend to be, all you really have to do is apologize to the First Lady. So here's where we're at tonight. Now, the self-anointed beacon of all things right, all things decent, all things humane in this world, Jimmy Kimmel is now taking shots at me. Now, the reason doesn't come as a surprise because Kimmel is upset because we called out his hypocrisy because he was viciously mocking Melania Trump's accent while she was reading to a bunch of kids. Now, keep in mind, English is not her first, second, third, fourth language. It's her fifth language. Take a look.
I want to really thank the First Lady, Melania, who has done an incredible job. She worked so hard on this event, and so I want to thank you.
Yeah. It's not a chance she did one thing to help set that up. She didn't die egg, she didn't feel bad. The only thing she's been working on is an escape tunnel. No White House Easter celebration would be complete without story time from our First Lady.
Never stop exploring, because life would be boring. Be clever and curious, just like a cat. Ask lots of questions about this and that.
About this and that. Guillermo, you realize what this means? You could be First Lady of the United States.
Pathetic and petty, and it needs to stop. Now, imagine if a conservative said any of this. Liberals, they'd be foaming at the mouth, feigning their moral outrage. Now, like most bullies, Jimmy Kimmel is thin-skinned. Make one joke about the guy, and he loses his mind for 5 minutes on his show, and he has been freaking out all day. So in response to all of that and this disgusting display, well, I called Jimmy Kimmel a despicable disgrace. And, of course, that set the holier-than-thou Hollywood elitist off. Take a look.
I open my computer and find out I'm at war with Sean Hannity and Fox News. For 8 years, while Obama was president, he was unable to get an erection. For 8 years, not one erection. Now that Trump is president, here's the twist. Sean Hannity is unable to have anything but an erection, okay? He's had an erection since November of 2016, and it's driving him mad. He's lost his mind.
No, my mind's right here. A couple of things. Number one, Jimmy Kimmel, you're really creepy and perverted. And the video evidence that we're going to show you in just a few minutes will explain a lot about Jimmy Kimmel. Secondly, and this is important, Kimmel is just stealing a page from the fake news media and lying about what I said about Roy Moore. All Jimmy had to do was a little research, and he would find out that I was the one that repeatedly pressed Roy Moore over and over again for an hour on my radio show about multiple allegations against him. And I forced Roy Moore to respond. And by the way, his response didn't help him. So, Jimmy, you want to attack me, you go right ahead, but facts actually matter. Now, last night, Jimmy also tweeted a vulgar, obscene, mock photo of me that was so creepy and perverted, even by Jimmy's standards, that he had to take it down. Here's the thing about this sanctimonious bully. He doesn't just go after people like me who highlight his hypocrisy. I'm fine with that. He routinely bashes, nonstop, all Republicans, even the First Lady, really, of the United States of America. I don't care that you're a liberal, Jimmy. I know that, well, you kissed Obama's ass and so on and so forth. That's fine. Keep in mind, this is a guy who preaches from his high horse night after night after night about just how righteous and just he really is. Take a look.
I even thought, hey, maybe we won't talk about Donald Trump much tonight. And then he opened his mouth and all manner of stupid came out. I feel like I can say this with reasonable certainty. The president is completely unhinged. The wheels are off the wagon and hurtling towards the moon right now.
So you don't mind if Republicans turn off your show? They're not watching anymore?
I don't say I don't mind. I mean, I love for everyone. I want everyone with a television to watch the show. But if they're so turned off by my opinion on health care and gun violence, then I don't know. I probably won't want to have a conversation with them anyway.
Good riddance?
Well, not good riddance, but riddance.
Pretty laughable because Jimmy's constantly trying to be everybody's moral arbiter. Now, you're on video, Jimmy, doing it nonstop. It's so easily accessible. This is too easy, so quit pretending. And really, good riddance or riddance to conservatives watching your show? Are you that hateful, that arrogant to just dismiss half the country? Here's an idea. Why don't you focus on trying to be funny instead of pushing liberal talking points that you get from Chuck Schumer? And now for Kimmel's creepy past. We didn't need a team of 100 staffers and writers like Jimmy has to scour the internet for us. Well, Kimmel actually makes it too easy. All you have to do is a quick Google search, and you find all kinds of videos that I'm sure a lot of people will think Jimmy Kimmel's kind of creepy and perverted. Now, before we show them to you, now we get that Jimmy Kimmel is trying to be a comedian. He's in last place in late night. But for him to sit there night after night after night, lecture America about what is right, what is wrong about America, having done the things that he's done, yeah, that's the height of hypocrisy. And as we'll show you, Kimmel is a pretty sick, twisted, creepy, perverted weirdo, which is why I now call him Harvey Weinstein Jr. For example, here's Disney's Jimmy Kimmel asking random women on the street to guess what's in his pants and to touch it and put their mouth on it. Watch.
This game show is called Guess What's in My Pants. Now, I've stuffed something in my pants, and you're allowed to feel around on the outside of the pants. You have 10 seconds to then guess what is in my pants. You ready?
Set.
Go.
It looks like...
You should use two hands. Two hands. You're going to make a fine wife. You've done this before, haven't you? All right.
Just right there?
Yeah? Just a few more seconds. How old are you?
18.
Okay, good. You sure of that? Because Uncle Jimmy doesn't need to do time. Maybe it would be easier if you put your mouth on it. You've got a nice technique there. You could get in the Olympics with this, let me tell you.
Is that really the example he wants to set for how to treat women? Wasn't he the guy at the Oscars that was lecturing everybody, the Academy Awards, to listen to everybody's speech on the Me Too movement? Now, this is the type of thing, it's a recurring theme for Jimmy Kimmel. Now, here he is interviewing women with an object in his pants. Take a look.
Sex-wise, does size matter?
Yeah, I think it matters. I think a lot of it's visual.
What do you mean?
Because if the man is
Does it particularly matter?
It doesn't make a difference.
No?
big guy
Yeah.
and his unit is relatively small,
Right.
then it sort of gives you this inadequacy thing.
Right. What do you think of this right here? What do you say to that?
Протез, силикон.
I'm talking about, here, you can hold on to this if you need, so you don't fall down. No.
Harvey Weinstein Jr. You know, those two examples, I guess if they're not enough for perverted Kimmel, he was also chasing women around Hollywood, asking them if they'd have sex with him. Take a look.
Hello, welcome to Hollywood. Would you like to have sex with me?
No.
Would you like to have sex with me?
No, of course not.
Would you like to have sex? No? Please. I'm begging you. I think you'd enjoy it. Wouldn't it be delightful if we had sex? Hi. Want to have sex?
No.
Excuse me, ladies. Would you like to have sex with me?
No.
Doing well today? would you like to have some sex? Yeah, would you like to have sex? All right then, thank you.
Those Disney, ABC, Jimmy Kimmel, you proud of this as you look at it? You still think it's funny? Maybe in some of these instances you may want to apologize in light of the Me Too movement that you've been pushing. Jimmy also thought it was in good taste to ask people on the street if he could see their underwear. I'm not making this up. Take a look.
What do people wear on their most private of parts? Sure, we've seen the catalogs, we've seen the supermodels and G-strings, but what do real people wear under there?
I have flat on. There's my underwear.
That's real nice. Oh, look at that. Let's get you out of those pants, honey. What do you say?
What exactly do you have to see?
Whatever you got to show us, we'll have a look at it. There'll be no
Should I just
zooming in.
flash really quick?
Yeah, that'd be good.
Are you crazy?
It'll go by so fast, nobody will even notice. Asking the question, may I see your underwear, and getting a big yes on both sides. I'm Jimmy Kimmel, and good night, everyone.
All right, so Harvey Jr., well, it doesn't stop there. Pay close attention to what he's asking a soon-to-be bride on her bachelorette party. Take a look.
You love him very much? Do you want to bear his children? Have you given him anal? It's a gentle thrusting action like this. Right.
Now, he obviously has a fixation on that in that department. Now, this obscene behavior, it doesn't just stop only for women. Watch what he did to a statue at Snoop Dogg's house. I wasn't invited.
And who is this lovely lady?
That's Miss Daisy.
Miss Daisy's got quite a selection of hors d'oeuvres here.
Driving Miss Daisy.
That's right. She's just the right height, too. All right.
Apparently, nobody's safe from Kimmel's perverted wrath. Take a look.
Sorry, ladies. I got a flight to catch.
Aww.
I'm gonna miss those broads. Hi, I'm cable television's Jimmy Kimmel. I love the Juggies as much as you do, but I'm a busy guy and I can't always take them along. Until now. Introducing Porta Juggie. Portable jugs for the guy on the go. Porta Juggie fits easily into the overhead compartment. See you in Miami.
Okay.
Porta Juggie. Just like a real Juggie, only smaller.
Now, Kimmel's also co-opted children, and his show has encouraged them to say bad words. Take a look.
In the interest of science, we sent a camera out onto Hollywood Boulevard today. We asked a bunch of kids to list all the bad words they know.
Now, do you know any naughty words?
Naughty words?
Yes.
Naughty words?
Tell me some naughty words.
No.
No?
I know ass. I know, bitch.
I think I know dumb and let me think.
And we've saved some of the most disturbing examples for last. It's Jimmy Kimmel in blackface, mocking NBA legend Karl Malone. Watch this.
Hello, everybody out there in TV town. This is Karl Malone of the Utah Jazz, here to tell you about Karl Malone home state, Louisiana. Sometime at night, Karl Malone look up in sky and say, what the hell going on up there? Do UFO live on other planet, phoning home like E.T.? Karl Malone read on TV about white people getting deducted by alien. Now, Karl Malone never seen no flying saucer himself, but if he do, that's gonna be a spooky time.
Jimmy was on Twitter all day defending all of this. Apparently doesn't regret doing any of this, not embarrassed by any of this. So let me say one other thing. Jimmy is not the only hypocrite in Hollywood. The place has been ground zero for sexual abuse, mistreatment for women for decades, and probably still is for all we know. Here's what's so disturbing is that everyone in Hollywood, whether they admit it or not, They know about the infamous casting couch. They all knew what was going on, and they did nothing to stop it for years. And instead, Hollywood embraced pedophiles. Remember director Roman Polanski? Remember, he was accused of raping a 13-year-old back in 1977 after he gave the 13-year-old champagne and Quaaludes. At the time, Polanski was 43 years old. Now, he was eventually charged with 6 felony counts, but he fled to Europe before he was actually sentenced and put in jail where he belongs. Now, you would think after all that, Hollywood would be completely in the position to disown, renounce Polanski. Not only did it not happen, here's what did happen. In 2003, Polanski won an Oscar for Best Director. Now, the celebrity-filled audience at the Oscars, they erupt in applause, even though Polanski couldn't attend because he's avoiding authorities here in the United States. Watch Hollywood's reaction to the pedophile rapist.
Roman Polanski, for the pianist.
Standing ovation, and it gets worse. Hollywood support for Polanski didn't end there. In 2009, after Polanski was arrested in Switzerland in connection with his 1977 case, over 100 celebrities signed a petition demanding his release. So, Jimmy, I guess you're in good company. Just like the rest of your buddies out there in liberal Hollywood, you're just obnoxious, sanctimonious, and you bully the First Lady of the United States. Or like I'd like to say, you're just an ass clown. Game on, Jimmy. Keep going. Here with reaction, the host of Justice with Judge Jeanine Pirro, and from the Hill, Joe Concha. You know, Judge, I don't care on the comedy side of things. This has crossed the line. And I'm laying down this gauntlet tonight because I'm a little tired of picking on innocent women reading to children and picking on kids that other people have done here and the sanctimony that comes out of people.
You know, Sean, the hatred that is coming from the left is actually shocking. I mean, I have gotten the hypocrisy of Hollywood for years, as have you. These people are in a den of iniquity. And for them to turn around and look at our First Lady, make fun of her accent, is really the lowest of the low. And I applaud you for doing this. These people are haters.
Let me tell you, Judge,
and they are not to be tolerated. And America will reject them in the next election.
Judge, I'm throwing down the gauntlet. I'm not going to stop. They are going to stop by the time it's done. I will not, Joe Concha, it's not going to end with me. It's going to end when he apologizes to Melania Trump.
He should apologize on the air, Sean. I mean, where the insult happens, obviously do it in that venue. I just wonder if that would actually happen. I don't think he needs to apologize to you, and you shouldn't go back with him.
I don't want an
God
apology.
knows.
I don't need an apology.
No, please don't. Please don't, because I find this insanely entertaining, the feud between you two. Make it like the Cuban Missile Crisis. Like, have it go on for 13 days. That's fine. But as far as the First Lady's concerned, you know, Jimmy Kimmel's now in his 50s, and he's taking cheap shots at women who can't defend themselves. And people say, well, of course she can. No, she's not going to, the First Lady isn't going to dignify this with the response. So I think in the end, he probably won't apologize because he'll see it as a capitulation to you, and therefore he's not going to do what should be the right thing here.
It's not, Judge, it's not about me. It's not about liberal, conservative, Republican. It's not. It's about, in this case, basic, simple human decency. That's what this is about.
Decency and respect. But look at the person you're talking about. He will not go after Harvey Weinstein, who was a sexual predator who I have no doubt will be indicted
very late to the game, yes.
rape. But he's happy to go after a woman who was the First Lady of the United States. If anyone went after Michelle Obama to make fun of the way she talked or the way she looked, the way they do in Hollywood, we would all be racist and they would be looking to assault us, which is what they're doing anyway. These people are not what America is about. And America will reject them, Sean.
Yeah, and you know what? It's the bully aspect of it. The judge is right, Joe. The First Lady can't fight back here, you know, and take it on a woman. And then the sanctimony and the lectures we get from him and the self-righteousness on top of it. But it's not just Melania. It's also Barron Trump. It's Ivanka Trump. It's the daughter-in-laws of the president. Keep your criticism in a box, or I think that for me, this is it. I'll just stay on this, and I'll roll tape of Jimmy Kimmel every night for the rest of my career.
Right. Going after the First Lady, let's put it this way. She had a 17-point jump in Gallup as far as favorability from when the president took office till the end of last year. She's more popular than most politicians. Most First Ladies are. But in the end, Jimmy Kimmel should debate this with you on his show, and you should have him on your show, and you guys should have it out there instead of on Twitter. That's what I would like to see.
I bet you would, but I have higher ratings. He has to come to New York.
Yeah, but Sean, real fast, I wonder how many of the women in that show he did were sexually harassed. Somebody ought to interview them.
That's a good question. All right, when we come back, the hate for the president continues. Former First Lady Michelle Obama, she's now taking shots at the president as we continue the special edition of Hannity. All right, people on the left, Hollywood elites, they continue to show just how out of touch with reality they really are. Now, on the latest installment of David Letterman's Netflix show, Obama's buddy, Jay-Z, he said that Trump has brought out the ugly side of America. And even Dave, he couldn't resist taking a shot at the president. Shocking. Take a look.
He's bringing out an ugly side of America that we wanted to believe was gone. And it's still here, and we still got to deal with it. And we have to have the conversation. We have to have tough conversation. We have to talk about the N-word, and we have to talk about why white men are so privileged in this country.
I completely agree. We don't need any more evidence. I mean, is he a racist? Is he not a racist? I'm telling you, you're having a debate over whether a guy is a racist. Chances are that guy's a racist.
Yeah.
All right, former First Lady Michelle Obama, she took her own nasty swipe at the president yesterday. Take a look.
I always sort of felt like the 8 years that Barack was president, it was sort of like having the good parent at home, you know, the responsible parent, the one that told you to eat your carrots and go to bed on time. And now perhaps we have the other parent in the house. And we thought it'd feel fun. Maybe it feels fun to some for now because we can eat candy all day and, you know, stay up late and not follow the rules.
What happened to they go low, we go high? Just words. And also this week, Democratic Senator Kamala Harris, she made a very inappropriate joke at the president's expense while on the show Ellen. Take a look.
If you had to be stuck in an elevator with either President Trump, Mike Pence, or Jeff Sessions, who would it be?
Does one of us have to come out alive?
All right, here with reaction, the author of the brand new book, How Do I Tax Thee? The Hill contributor, Kristen Tate, is with us. Also with us, Fox News contributor, Tommy Lahren. Yeah, look, I don't really care what people say, Tommy. But the thing is, any conservative, if they say one thing that is deemed inappropriate, in come the thought police, in come the politically correct teams, in come the boycotts, in come the silencing efforts. So the double standard is so obvious and transparent, and you've lived this as well as I have.
Well, the double standard is all the left has to operate on. That's the only standard with which they uphold. But also talking about them laughing about the death of our president, this isn't just some Hollywood liberal. This isn't just Ellen DeGeneres or Kathy Griffin laughing about this. This is an elected official who is laughing about the death of our president. Too far? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And Kristen, what if, it's always the great question, what if it was Barack Obama as president?
Right.
Would the late night comedians, would everybody, they kind of gave him a pass, especially when you see the intensity and the ferociousness against this president, but not only the president, he's fair game. but his wife, his young 10, 11-year-old kid.
Yeah. No, the left has a nasty, seething hatred of President Trump. There's no doubt about it. But the more these attacks continue, the more that the 50% of Americans who turned out in droves to vote for Trump are turned off, and the more mobilized they are. With regards to Harris's comment in particular, I think she was just joking. I actually don't have a problem with a joke. I can take a joke. The problem is the hypocrisy. If someone on the right said that, oh, their career would be over, they would be shamed by every outlet in America. But there is a violence, there's a culture of violence that's kind of growing on the left. I mean, we saw Kathy Griffin proudly holding up Trump's decapitated head, Madonna saying she wants to blow up the White House, Snoop Dogg showing himself assassinating Trump in a music video. This has become the new norm.
And Tommy, I go to you, and this goes back to Kimmel. I don't really care. Nobody really watches Jimmy Kimmel. I mean, he's in last place by a long shot, but that's not the point. I don't remember anybody taking those kind of shots that he did, a gratuitous shot at the First Lady. Go after the president, go after his policies, make all the jokes you want. They're all there, go right ahead. But it seems like that's a bully. And then when you look at his background, he's hosting the Oscars. He's supposed to be the face of Me Too and lecturing America to really listen to the important speeches. And then he's got 18-year-old girls grabbing his crotch, telling them to put their mouths on it. He's like a pervert. I'm watching and I'm like, we don't need this. And no conservative would do it, nor would they ever get away with it.
Well, they are the late night hosts. They are now the self-appointed morality leaders. But here's the catch. They don't think it applies to them. It only applies to the president. And again, going back to comments made by Jay-Z, who is another thought leader for this generation, my generation, we've got somebody who's attacking President Trump, someone who's actually doing great things for the black community. We've got record low unemployment rates in the black community. And we've got Jay-Z saying, oh, white privilege, Trump's a racist. Again, it's a distraction from all the great things that President Trump is doing for this country. They can't take it that he's winning, so they have to call him names. That is textbook leftist.
All right, thank you both. When we come back, President Trump announced his decision on whether he's going to attend this year's White House Correspondents' Dinner. We'll tell you what he decided to do as we continue the special edition of Hannity.
Live from America's News Headquarters, I'm Trace Gallagher. The Texas National Guard is planning to deploy 250 troops to the U.S.-Mexico border within the next 72 hours. And Arizona plans to send 150 members of the state National Guard to the U.S.-Mexico border next week. It's part of President Trump's efforts to protect the area until his proposed wall is built. Also tonight, Secretary of Defense Jim Mattis signed orders to deploy as many as 4,000 National Guardsmen to the region. So far, California has not announced plans to deploy any troops. The security detail for embattled EPA Chief Scott Pruitt reportedly cost taxpayers millions of dollars. The Associated Press estimates that the agency spent millions for a 20-member full-team security detail. That's reportedly 3 times the size of his predecessor's part-time security detail. This new analysis comes as Pruitt has faced intense scrutiny over his spending habits. Just last week, he came under fire for paying just $50 a night to stay at a condo owned by the wife of an energy lobbyist. He's also faced criticism for his first-class travel habits. Some Democrats are calling for Pruitt's resignation. A major milestone tonight for the residents in Flint, Michigan. The water has been declared safe to drink. The state also plans to stop delivering bottled water to residents within a matter of days. But many residents are upset by the announcement, saying the water is still unsafe. About 4 years ago, it was discovered that the water contained high levels of lead. The state says that water has tested below so-called federal action levels for lead for nearly 2 years. Finally, a Utah couple is celebrating 5 new additions to the family. The babies, born on March 21st in Arizona. Doctors say the babies Logan, Lincoln, Violet, Lily, and Daisy are doing well. All were born 3 pounds. Jamie and Skylar Scott also have 2 other children. Now back to Hannity.
All right, as we continue the special edition of Hannity, mainstream media spinning out of control all week, forcing President Trump to correct a record on Twitter, writing, quote, "Do you believe that the fake news media is pushing hard on a story that I'm going to replace the Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, with EPA Chief Scott Pruitt, who is doing a great job but is totally under siege?" Do people really believe this stuff? So much of the media is dishonest and corrupt. Now, this morning, the White House Correspondents Association announced President Trump is not going to be attending their annual dinner. But is this a shock? After all, here's a small sampling of how the media in this country has covered this president in just the past few days. Take a look.
Our president is a useful idiot, referred to, by the way, on Russian state media all the time as our president, meaning Russia's president. He is a useful idiot for Russia's aims at undermining our democratic institutions.
You have to have credibility, and this White House doesn't have a lot of credibility because they've turned around on almost everything they've said in the past.
He's as dismissive of truth as he is of ethics. We go on and on and on. And I'm sad to say that it also can lead to the diminishment of democracy, if not its death.
What I see happening here is the president is setting up the defense that Cohen was sort of his minister of disgruntled mistresses.
Yeah, let's not talk about North Korea. Let's not talk about China, the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. Let's not talk about peace in the Middle East. No. Or the great economic news we've been getting for now almost a year. Here with reaction, former Obama economic advisor Austin Goolsbee, Fox News contributor, former White House press secretary Ari Fleischer, and former deputy assistant to the president, Fox News national security strategist Sebastian Gorka. Ari, you're sort of in the middle here. I know you disagree with the president at times. I know you agree with him at times. George Bush, who you work for, he was attacked in a pretty unrelenting way. I was certainly no fan of Barack Obama's. Austin knows that well. But it's never been this bad. And you've made that observation yourself.
Yeah, the vitriol, the outright hostility, just the personalization of the attacks against Donald Trump. But the thing about it, Sean, is the similar sounds to what the press did during the campaign when they underestimated Donald Trump and therefore half the country. And they haven't learned from those lessons. Now, I just think the press would be so much better off if they dropped the vitriol and just start to understand who he is, why he does what he does, and to cover him because he's an outsider. But there's so much part of the establishment, it's very hard for them to break those traditions.
You know, I always went very hard because I disagreed, Austin, with the president's policies. President Obama, I know you like him. I give you his economic statistics almost every time you're on, but I'm not going to go there. The only time I really went after Michelle Obama is when she injected herself into the political arena. I can't believe anybody in this country, especially a first lady or running for president at the time, would be saying, for the first time in my adult life, I am proud of my country. That's very different than the attacks on Melania Trump, reading a book to kids. English is her fifth language, and she is being attacked the way she is being attacked.
Well, look, she shouldn't be being attacked. You know, if you had it to do over, you might not have had that one foray into going after Michelle Obama. You mostly talked about the president, not the first lady. I agree with you.
For the first time in my adult life?
The family shouldn't really be the subject. Now, I don't think the president ought to be attaching himself here to Scott Pruitt, though. I mean, you got a case where he's got a cabinet official that seems to be abusing the power of his office for his own personal benefit. If I were advising the president, I know he's your friend, you should be telling him to get as far away from that as he can, because I don't think Scott Pruitt is going to be in his job.
Dr. Gorka, I want to stay focused here. The reason I am laying down a gauntlet on this show tonight, as hard as I am tonight, is that this is now every single day. They want to not just delegitimize a president, disagree with the president. There's nothing, Dr. Gorka, in the minds of people on the left that Donald Trump can do right.
Absolutely not. You'd think they'd learned their lesson on the day of the election, Sean, when the whole left-wing media, without exception, said that Hillary Clinton will be the president. Instead of learning from just how wrong they got it, they doubled down. And we've now experienced a year and a half of persistent lying. When they go on national television and simply lie about the administration, about what they're doing. Look, Pew, the Pew polling company, is not exactly an arch conservative polling company. When they say that the mainstream media has a 5% positive coverage of the president after the last year and a half, you know they've got a problem, but they refuse to address it, and that's why CNN is at the bottom. That's why Anderson Cooper is failing. That's why nobody laughs at, Kimmel's jokes, and he's not even making the grade. They're just not learning. They're doubling down. But the good news is, Sean, they're making themselves totally irrelevant.
Yeah, agreed. All right, so Ari, maybe in the sense, I think Dr. Gorka is right, but it's sort of cumulative. I mean, I kind of feel like I'm a little island here in the news media landscape. I'm not exactly in the majority in my opinions, but it's almost like nobody even wants to give this guy an opportunity. Nobody sees 3 million jobs being created as a good thing, or lowering taxes as a good thing, or securing the border even. I just don't understand. If you were Kate Steinle's mother or father, wouldn't you think that this is an important thing to do?
Yeah, there is such a break in this country now between what is the definition of news if you're a conservative and the definition of news if you're a liberal. And liberal really does include so much of the mainstream media, and especially their top editors and producers who drive so much of this. But, Sean, the bigger point here is I've heard reporters say so many times, if the Democrats complain about what we're doing and the Republicans complain, we must be doing something right. And I'm here to tell you that when all your customers are saying you're doing something wrong, then you're going out of business. And that's the problem with the press. They are becoming valid only to an increasingly small slice of America. And that slice reinforces what it thinks when they read these outlets, and they just can't stand Donald Trump. We all as a nation would be so much better off if the press just told the news, reported the facts straight down the middle.
Good discussion tonight. We appreciate it. When we come back, Roseanne Barr, her success is sending shockwaves through the left. Now, this comes as yet another TV show takes a nasty swipe at Vice President Mike Pence and even his wife, Karen, as we continue on the special edition of Hannity. All right, so the Roseanne reboot is taking the country by storm. It has been a massive rating success in the first 2 weeks it's been on air. And by the way, it's rattling the left. Take a look.
I should have tried to understand why you voted the crazy way that you did.
And I should have understood that, you want the government to give everybody free health care because you're a good-hearted person who can't do simple math.
Well, people parent differently than they did in your day. Turns out a lot of what you did not work, and some of it was against the law.
Yeah, it's against the law because your generation made everything so PC. Instead of spanking them, you tell them to go over there and think about what they did wrong. You know what they're thinking? I can't believe this loser isn't spanking me.
All right, joining us now, author, attorney David Limbaugh, Fox News contributor Tammy Bruce. Good to see you both.
Hi, guys.
It's incredible. You have movies, look at the movie by Mercy Me, I Can Only Imagine. Right. My movie did well. The movie Paul out this weekend. Roseanne's doing well. And you still get the cookie-cutter Hollywood formula.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, look, I think that this is a time where Americans suddenly, I think perhaps because of President Trump, that Americans are feeling safer to be themselves. And they realize that they're not going to be told how to be or what they are or what to expect of themselves. They're tired of being dictated to. And I think that's a freeing for the American people. Now, Hollywood is a business, television's a business. And if you want, they're finding out with Roseanne. I think this is surprising ABC, though. I think they thought that this was going to be a bone that they would throw to people. This is the same network that canceled Last Man Standing, which made no sense at the time. So I think this is a wake-up call. Whether or not they're willing to throw away their business in order, for their business, for their political model, is another thing entirely. But this is a really good sign that Americans, we know what we want. We understand.
They're choosing.
They're choosing, and it's about the power of our consumerism, and it's showing we want to be entertained. We also want a little less politics, and the episodes coming up are going to be maybe a little less political. political. But this is very exciting, and it's good for the American people. And if you want to succeed in television, I think you better start listening to everyone who doesn't live in Malibu or Manhattan.
It's really well said. David Limbaugh, you live in the heartland. You know, it's funny because you watch Jimmy Kimmel, and this is why I'm literally drawing a line in the sand. Bullying a first lady who's reading to children, and he likes to consider himself the great moral arbiter of everything. And I've had it with all of them, because as a group, you see never-ending attacks and never-ending hypocrisy here. And on this show, I will do it. I don't know many other people that are willing to take this on, but I'll take it on every night because it needs to be addressed.
You know, Sean, the left has contempt for flyover country, and their policies are divorced from the results that their policies produce. You know, for their stated goals. They claim they care about the blue-collar worker. They say Trump only pretends to care about the blue-collar worker, when in fact he's fulfilling his campaign promises for the blue-collar workers, and the liberals are the ones who only care about the votes. See, they're in this projection mode. Obama tried to bankrupt the coal industry. The left doesn't care about that. But look at the contempt they show in Hollywood. They have all these shows that denigrate Christian and traditional morality. And then you have Roseanne, who's not necessarily a social conservative, is a Trump supporter. And you have these ratings, and Rush pointed this out, despite the fact that in the two major markets, L.A. and New York City and the tri-state region, you had terrible ratings there, but yet they had such robust ratings throughout the country, it overwhelmed them. That's symbolic of what's going to happen in the next election, I believe. But there is an outpouring, an uprising among conservative people, just normal people. Who reject this contempt that they have for us.
Yeah, David, I couldn't agree with you more. And here's, though, what the left is reacting to. The similarity, let's say, between a Roseanne, who's likely not a social conservative, people like me and other conservatives, is that we're not conforming. We are not behaving, right? We are not accepting their narrative. That's the threat, especially when women do it, especially when also it challenges their worldview that you have to look a certain way, you have to go to certain parties, you have to behave a certain way.
People don't remember, you are the president of now.
I was.
Back in the day.
And indeed, a generation ago, 20 years, earlier this month, I became the president of the Independent Women's Voice organization, a national conservative organization, but based on policy issues, not partisanship. And so my politics haven't changed. It's about personal freedom, dignity, being able to choose our future for ourselves, and being economically free. So these are the things that Roseanne cares about, that middle America cares about, and the left is terrified because personal freedom means that liberalism will not survive.
Last word, David. What about the things Kimmel has, the tapes we just showed at the beginning of this program? What do you make of that? And under the banner of, I guess this is the new Disney.
I'm no prude, but it's pretty disgusting when you consider the level of hypocrisy. The left claims to be outraged about Trump's alleged fidelity, and yet they promote this licentiousness all over their networks, which is what alienates most of America. And they continue to do it because liberalism is their religion. And to answer Tammy's question, I do think they place it above even the good dollar. They want to